All right, so for the compass template, we're gonna now progress it by inserting drop-ins as lunges. So we talked about with the drop-in itself, it does not have a vertical component, meaning when you're doing your drop-in, in and of itself, you're not lowering and raising. It is purely a rotation through the hip when you're doing it, loading that upper outer glute area to be able to drive out from. When we add the lunge, that's where you can now decide how deep, range of motion wise, you want that lunge to be. And if you want to like train certain positions specifically. So we're gonna go over how to now progress that drop in into a lunge, and then doing that inside of our compass template so that we're prepared to load our legs unilaterally regardless of our foot position. So, quick review on the compass template. Remember, feet are always forward, hips are always forward. Okay, with these, regardless of whichever foot you're going with, when you land, make sure you have balance, and then the weight distribution will just depend on the movement. So we have straight forward, we have forward at a 45-degree angle, lateral, posterior 45 or backwards at a 45-degree angle, and then straight back. Okay? So now with those positions, we have drop-in lunges. Easiest to always do the drop-in first, meaning get the rotational part down, then add the depth second, and you can decide how low you would like to be. With these style of lunges, because it is out of a drop-in, it should have very minimal knee pressure, if any, and we should feel that tension and pressure move into like the musculature of the hips, primarily the glutes. If you're feeling a lot of knee pressure, we need to double check our initial positions because we should not feel that. So we have straight forward, okay? So I would take my step. For any and all of these, if you'd like to hold on to something, either for balance, some of the foot positions are trickier than others, either for balance or for support, if you know that having a little bit of something to kind of push off of will help, that's perfectly fine. So I'll have this here and show a couple with support if needed. Doesn't have to be a box, this could be a chair, a table, a sofa, that doesn't matter, okay? So we have our straight forward, okay? So everything's forward, just like the regular drop-in. I'm gonna now center myself on top of this foot. So my head through my spine, through my hip, through my ankle, everything is in line over here. Foot is forward, okay? I'm gonna find my stretch on this side. So once I'm unlocked, I'm gonna reach that hip back so I have some stretch in my hamstring. And then the drop-in is just the turn. We add the depth for the lunge second. So from here, I'll have my turn where everything stayed over on this side. I didn't fall into the middle. When I wanna add the depth, now, once I'm in this turn with this foot pointing in and this shin remaining vertical, I keep my angle over this leg, meaning my upper body doesn't change or become more upright, and I just add knee bend on both sides. So as long as I stay forward with my hip behind me and I just bend both knees, I can decide how low or not low, potentially even all the way to the ground, I want to go, okay? When we're doing this, so I'm gonna do one from the side. Let's see, I'll do left. So if I'm centered, right, I'm over on this side, we're straight forward. I've turned, I have my stretch. When I wanna go into that lunge, okay, you can see my feet are still relatively close. One visual indicator is that this shin on my front leg should always remain vertical. If this moves forward or backward, that's a sign that we've moved ourselves out of that initial start position. And so when I'm going down, right, doesn't matter how low I go, this can stay vertical. If I'm going down and I see this happening, right, that's where we're gonna feel pressure on the knee. So think of it as just like that access squat from the very beginning, where before you would go, you would unlock and reach your hips back and then everything just moves out. That is exactly what your front leg is doing in this drop-in lunge, right? I'm just reaching back. When I turn, that will angle out. And so when I'm going down, it just moves out. It doesn't move forward, okay? We're gonna go to our 45 to the front. So now at an angle, still forward, centered, unlocked, going into my stretch. I'll do my turn. This remains vertical, and then I can decide how low, right? Whether it's this or this, I would like to be. This foot being turned in gives this leg room and support to where the knee doesn't take pressure at an odd angle, and it can just sort of move out of the way of other things. This position is not a dangerous position anymore because of this angle, whereas if my foot was like this and it went in like that, that's where we get in trouble. We have straight to the side. Okay, let's do one to the left. So I'm over to the side. Okay, remember, just like before, I can turn that guy in a little bit ahead of time and unlock that knee. I go into my stretch over on this side, centered. I do my turn first. Once I'm in my turn, everything is already pivoted. Then I can go into my lunge. With this, anytime you're doing your pivot, one tactile cue or touch-based cue that seems very helpful for people is you want to feel your outer three toes on your pivot. So when I'm going, right, for instance, if I stopped there, that would be my inner two toes. I'm on my big toe and my second toe. This knee position, you can see it's like falling inside of this column. This is not a position we want. Whereas if I get to my outer three, now everything is in the same direction. So when I add that knee bend, all of this stays in line as opposed to coming in, okay? We have our posterior 45 and our posterior, okay? The lunges out of these positions are not gonna be like normal lunges because of that back leg position. So you can think of this as almost like a partial range of motion, and really you're just kind of pushing back into your hip. So I'm at my 45 and back, not too big of a step. So no more than heel to toe, right? Like that would be about heel to toe. That's the biggest. I usually end up a little less. So we're back at our 45, centered, turned in, find my stretch over here. I'm gonna do my initial drop in. And now I don't have as much room to go down, so I usually just go into a little bit of a load where I can feel this side taking on some pressure and stretching out in this back hip, and then come up from there. That one, don't worry about trying to go super low. It's just not a position conducive to it. And then I have straight back. So same smaller step, centered over on that leg, reaching behind with the butt. I can turn it in a little ahead of time. And now I have my turn first, and then I can just sit down into that position a little bit lower and come out from there, okay? So that's gonna be our compass template. In general, front shin vertical as a visual cue, regardless of your position when you're going. We want this front shin to remain vertical. We need the back foot to turn in, and the shin remaining vertical, the other way to think of it is I need to keep my butt back and or shoulders forward. This will work to keep this vertical because me becoming upright is what brings my hips forward, which is what brings that shin forward, okay? So we have our drop-in lunges out of the compass.